All the people I'm with, that I'm surrounded with, it just make me feel at home, and like I feel like I won't feel homesick here.
I'm very, very confident in this group. I felt like that we've definitely become tight-knit, especially through the long travel, which was, exaggerated, very long.
I've never traveled before, except the little states in the US, and then now I'm across seas.
It's kind of crazy to actually be on the continent.
I'm still sort of getting used to the idea that I'm almost on the other side of the world.
I'm still processing it, like, I still can't believe it.
The architecture is different.
The airports are just so different, and like all the like art that there is.
One of our mentors, Edwin, he said, "You are all at home now," and I thought that was really cool.
It's not just about the place, because the place shapes the people.
I'm most looking forward to meeting new people, experiencing a new culture here.
It's just going to be a breath of fresh air from my everyday life, and it can help me clear my head.
I've always wanted to affect people's lives in a positive way, but I don't know how to necessarily do that in an organized fashion.
Everybody should experience what I did today.
We went to the District 6 Museum, which I've heard of, and I'd done research about it when I knew that we were going to it. But it was different actually seeing it in person than online and through pictures.
The school children were really grateful about the lives that they had and the privilege of education that they were given.
But you notice the energy and the excitement the moment you get somebody to express what is a general youth view. There's an energy.
All the art was made from young people, and I thought that was really awesome, and how they were getting young people involved in history in such a way, and how they were so involved in like how they got young people to do that.
The people that lived in this certain area, it was called District 6, were taken from their homes and moved to a different area so that the white Africans can move in and live.
All this art and how they displayed the art was awesome. They had the street signs all lined up.
I just felt like I actually got to see African culture, like really see it.
We met a man named Timba, and he took us to his house and a couple monuments around the city.
Speaking of seeing stuff on pictures, you see a lot of the townships here on the news, and you see the difference that the newspapers put and what you actually see. We saw the Amy Beale monument, where it's this American girl who was helped fighting against apartheid.
There was a lot of anger, bubbling amongst young people. Young people who were ready to fight and kill and get back at the apartheid state.
Because she was white, they assumed she was South African, so they threw stones at her and stabbed her to death.
There was a group of young people who were protesting right on this road, and they saw her driving with this other lady, and she became the target. She was at the right place at the wrong time,
I learned about the two different sides of humanity. On one side, I learned about how ugly humanity can be, and then I learned about how beautiful humanity can be.
He took us to his home, which is really like something personal to people.
Just the feel of the whole house, it was just heartwarming, and it made us feel so much more special than what we think we are.
Again, it was just the appreciation for a stranger.
We had a drum circle, which was really beautiful, and he told a story while playing an instrument.
And I think that was really the highlight of my day, because I really felt the vibrations of everyone around the room.
Drums were used as tools for communication. If a couple was getting married, certain rhythms would be played, and if the village was being attacked, certain rhythms, if the village is attacked, certain rhythms will be played.
It was fun. Everybody was happy, and you could see it. You could feel the spirit. You could feel the energy of positive vibes.
got to go to Table Mountain, which was the highlight of my trip so far. I just felt so taken away by the scenery.
Table Mountain. It was incredible.
We went up and we could see the mountains and the sky caught turn, so you could like see from every point of view. And then when we were up there, it was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, because I've never traveled too, so this was like an amazing experience all in general. I've never seen nature at its beautiful point like that, and it's one of the 7 wonders too, which was pretty cool to say that the first time I traveled I went there.
This is how crazy apartheid was. On that beach over there, which is a sandy beach, we could never go. If you were not white, you couldn't go. That was white only. But we were only allowed to swim on the side where there's rocks on the beach. That was for colored and black people.
You know, it touched my heart to just be able to see how vast the world was, and it made me feel like an ant. And that was just like an amazing feeling.
It was extremely beautiful, probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Actually being there on Table Mountain and seeing how beautiful and breathtaking it was something that made me really angry at the people who are destroying the environment.
We went to the slave lodge.
At the slave lodge, I saw, of course, similarities to slavery in America and the Holocaust.
Kind of eye-opening, because I only really think about slavery. You think about slaves coming from Africa to the Americas and to Europe, but there was a completely different trade route within Africa.
It was a slave lodge museum, and it's just a learning experience and also an eye-opener that everything in the past hasn't been content and that situations like that happen. So, you just learn and you try to prevent these things from happening again. So, yeah.
We went to dinner at a traditional African restaurant. There was dancing and music, live music, and I ended up getting up and dancing. That was really fun, and I haven't done that in a long time, so that was a good experience.
I've only seen stuff like that at movies, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
South Africa feels like home to me so far.
The vibes and the feeling of just total Zen mode and happiness and peacefulness, I have felt that before, like when I'm around my family or close friends or loved ones.
We're all like humans, we're all brothers and sisters, not just friends and family. We're like united in some kind of way. Like we're the whole species together, and we should live as brothers and sisters and think like that.
There is so much more out in life than just your house, going to school, being on your phone. Open your eyes to see what the world has for you. There's something in the world for you.
Robben Island, in a way, was like a very calculated way to suppress the political leaders and people that were trying to resist the apartheid and different types of social injustices that were going on.
The ferry ride too there was like I liked it because of the view.
You could see all of Cape Town, and it was just so beautiful, and I took so many pictures.
And I stood up the whole time and to see just the beautiful view, because it was like so beautiful. Like this whole place is just amazing.
I've never been on a ferry or a boat, so that was really exciting, and I actually liked it. I didn't get motion sickness or anything on the way back or going.
But walking around there, at first, nothing really felt moving. It didn't touch me at all, but then when we did the guided tour by foot within the prison, that's when I really started to feel moved.
It was very hard for me. I kind of got that gut feeling that I did when I was visiting some of the concentration camps when I was in Germany.
And just the similarities in general just made me feel what the prisoners felt, and just was really, really upsetting.
Hearing about the conditions that the prisoners were in was, very heartbreaking.
And these were all people who were trying to fight for their rights, and trying to fight for their people. There was such a great view there of the mountains and of the ocean. But then as you start to walk around, it's like you start feeling this weird pain and hurt because it looks so dark. And you just start to realize that so many lives were lost there, so many people were hurting, so many people were working basically slave labor.
It didn't sit right in my head to think of the fact that A place that is so beautiful has gone through so much ugliness.
I think the toughest part for me was reading through the letters.
It was really powerful to read the stories of the inmates and to actually see Mandela's cell where he was held.
Of the 27 years that Mr. Mandela spent in prison, 18 of those years he spent in that cell from 1964 to 1982.
Wow, this man who did so much for the world was in prison for so many years, and he, just like Desmond Tutu, sacrificed so much for his people.
At Full Mode, my experience here has just been pretty hit or miss so far.
It's a learning experience. I've never been out in the woods camping like, well, I've had, but not like this.
The people are great, but it's cold. The food is delicious, but I'm very tired.
I didn't expect it to be so cold in the cabin, so.
It's cold. That's like really my only complaint, and that's it. I like it. The people here are super nice, and the other group was really friendly.
It's a lot easier because we're just surrounded by people that are like, just have really beautiful souls. So I think that's saving us right now.
Walking around Zwelithle was great too, especially having a tour by a local.
Just looking at the township, you also think of some of the stereotypes that maybe you've heard back in the US of how people in Africa are poor and there are poor children and there are starving children on the street, and that kind of like links those stereotypes by seeing some of these townships, and then you actually get to meet a family and you go into their homes and you walk the streets, and so that was very inspiring for me.
We walked all around. I actually played on one of the playgrounds, and it was fun.
But as we were walking down the street, you heard, oh, and he's doing something for the kids, and around the corner he's, so you see that the community just doesn't want to be left the way it is, and that from the inside out they're trying to rebuild themselves, and I like that.
And we got to meet a guy who lived there who has a boxing program for some of the youth there, so that they use their free time to get involved with a sport instead of getting involved with some of the drug crimes that they have going on in the area.
So we decided to take them to the gym so that we can protect them. To the drugs, you can protect them to the gangsterism, because some of them, they are fighting on the school.
And I think it was just really, really nice to see that people are trying to do things to better their community, even when they don't have a lot of resources.
He talked about the townships in Cape Town and how much worse they look than Zwelithle, and he said that Zwelithle was actually doing a really good job. That was surprising to me, to be honest, because when I looked around, I saw abject poverty, I saw shacks, I saw, a lot of different things that I haven't seen in the US. But I also noticed a different sense of community when we were walking down the street.
And then we actually got to eat at one of the restaurants in the township, which was really inspiring actually, because it was for youth to have a place to come and learn and study.
It kind of provided a place for youth to go that didn't necessarily have like a safe environment to just talk and be in.
They would come and study there because of the space that they don't have at home.
The pass rate in the school was 32% for the past 15 years, but through outside funding and outside help from Cape Town, over school holidays they have workshops. Now the pass rate is 80.7%. Now the school is at a level where people go study.
We ate and the food was delicious. Oh my gosh, it was like, I could take her home.
We had really good food, some of the best food I've had this trip. And then we went upstairs and we saw these women making necklaces out of beads.
That township is able to provide jobs for people within the township, and then they have, youth cafe and all these different initiatives.
I got a lot of hope because I actually saw the people, who were really involved in that community, even though the community is struggling.
Almost immediately as we walked out, we came upon this group of girls and they were playing this game, and two of the other fellows started playing with them, and I think it was a really beautiful moment that you just connect with some random stranger.
But they were beating me, and I'm very competitive, so it was like, I want to play again. But they beat me. It's okay. But I have a new game to bring back home, which is really cool.
In order to go to a different country and truly experience the culture, you should also experience the religion that they have.
You know, we are very faith-friendly, but also, you know, faith-centered in a way that you can be, you know, anywhere from atheist to Catholic to Muslim and all of the religions that, you know, I can't even name personally.
We went and met this pastor. We met his family.
It smells really tasty. And then we went to the church in that area and kind of talked about some of the different living conditions and situations that people that live in this specific township face.
Our church here are situated in this area, and I believe that we are a gateway or an opening to the community.
The young people don't have any role models or any spiritual leaders or mentors around here.
Yeah.
Talking and complaining about it will never help. So we need to become more hands-on in the church.
Inspirational people who you can tell provide hope and give a symbol and a promise of new days to come for those people at that township.
You get different information here because it's one-on-one. It's like a story instead of just like having to read a book.
Just because you can look at it in the mushy-gushy way and say, you know, there's so much love, because I did see so much love with this family today as well, that doesn't mean that their condition is okay.
The way we think about other countries and other groups of people is usually entirely based on the narrative that we're presented, and unfortunately we don't always have the best narratives.
You can have something and it can make you happy, but you could still want more.
So these people may be happy, they may be hospitable, and they might not be complaining 24/7, but that doesn't mean their conditions are livable. That doesn't mean their conditions are up to par. And it's not even necessarily an American par, it's a human par.
We sang a song, and it was really beautiful because everyone was just singing in unison. And it was just a really nice moment that we all connected.
Hallelujah,
We went to a mosque and learned about Islam.
And I asked a lot of questions because I was just genuinely curious about Islam and the religion in general. And I felt very informed because coming from my household, my parents are Christian, so they hear stereotypes and they hear misconceptions about the religion, and I've just always wanted to know the truth. So I felt very informed and I liked it.
When I see you as my sister, I say Assalamu alaikum. What does that mean? I am a peaceful person. I am at peace.
A lot of his words were like really powerful and everything like that, and it was nice to know their way of communicating with God.
It provided a space that was very, I guess, healthy for, I think everybody today learned a lot.
It was really interesting to see all the similarities we had.
We went to a synagogue, and it was a very educational experience because it was a Orthodox synagogue, as far as I understand.
The past few days we've been going to different churches and everything, and it's nice to like get that experience of different religions like I wouldn't get back home. You know, I wouldn't just go to a synagogue by myself and see how it is. So it's nice to get the experience.
It's very different from any religion I've ever learned about. I don't know very much about a lot of different religions, but that was probably the most different from anything I've learned.
No other form of meat can be used here.
They had the rules where you couldn't mix meat and cheese and stuff like that. The genders were separated by like glass walls and stuff like that.
This is technically so you can't see them. Now any fool can see, I look here, I can see ladies, right, but you're not supposed to see them.
I think going to the synagogue today was very significant.
The thing that I remember most about this morning at the synagogue was that he was just so kind and
he was heartwarming to talk to.
The guy who showed us around, he was great.
You're going to break that camera, you know. I would have shaved if you would have done. There's only one word I want you to remember. It's a magic word.
The magic word is enthusiasm.
I want you to take the enthusiasm which you have shown me today in here, in this synagogue. Carry it on.
I think in order to make change, you have to stay really enthusiastic about what you're doing.
Enthusiasm. Remember, it's a magic word.
Change is hard. Changing your belief on what you've been taught is difficult, but it isn't impossible. And I think that if you really want to change the world, then you first have to change yourself and better yourself and be a better role model for the issue that you're trying to fix in the community or the group that you're trying to defend.
I've learned something that here it's like Ubuntu means I am a person because you are a person. We are human. We shouldn't think about it like women, men, colored, black, or just anything really. We should just be all like same. We're dehumanizing people like on a daily and we're not even realizing it.
After the church service, we went on a hike.
I was very lucky to have survived it because I'm just so clumsy, but I did.
I love hiking. I love nature. And I was like up there leading for a little bit, and I didn't even know where I was going. I was following the trail, but it was so nice to see like nature and like it's so pretty. I was just like nature. It's amazing how we make art. It's amazing for me personally to see God's art, and I'm just like God's art is so beautiful. Like I wake up and it's just like.
It was muddy. My shoes were soaked, but after we got to the waterfall, it was really cool to see, and I took plenty of pictures and just chilled over there and was able to like enjoy it.
And I got some rocks as souvenirs, so I got some rocks for my mom and my brother.
Being in nature really clears my head. It's sort of a spiritual experience for me. Just watching the waterfall was sort of meditative.
We met with some of the fishermen in the area. It's very, very, very difficult to do the work that they do because of the larger companies that are kind of taking over.
One of the fishermen, and he wrote this really amazing poem, and things like that I just think are wonderful.
Do you rejoice in our downfall? Yes, you took the sea from us, but never ever can you take the sea from within us.
Their stories were really compelling, especially the man who said that when he was growing up, the neighborhood he lived in had mud huts and, thatch roofs and was very poor. And the fact that he was abandoned by his parents to live with his grandmother at an early age, and he had to rely on the sea for food and to sustain himself.
One of the guys pulled me aside because Edwin told him about my project, and the hospital, like the hospice place right next to their place, they take in people with HIV and AIDS and let them stay there for 41 days without no charge. And then they have a place next to it that disabled people like in wheelchairs and stuff can go and make things. I took a lot of pictures of it. It was so cute.
I thought it was just very comforting to see that there is stuff like that happening around the world.
We drove to Grotto Beach, I think that's what it's called, and we walked around. Even though it was windy and kind of rainy, I still loved it. It was probably the best thing that we did today.
I took off my shoes even though it was freezing outside and just ran through the sand,
The beach was cold, but I got a lot of seashells for back home. It was really nice. It was huge, and it's so different from ours back home.
We went whale watching. Yeah.
Later in the day, we went whale watching, which I think was really, really beautiful.
Like, I've never seen whales before. Like, we don't have them. Like, there's no ocean that we can go to in Indiana to see whales.
But the whale watching, it kind of just reminded me, like, your goal in life should be to be happy. always strive to experience things that make you happy, and those are important, especially if you're going to go into social justice work where you might not always see progress immediately.
There was like 12 around us, so it's mating season, so like, you know.
It was something I'd never really seen before like that, and I don't really know how to describe it.
It was just weird to see how big they are, but it was really fun and nice. I'd never seen like huge animals like that up close, so it's really fun.
Yeah, I've never seen a whale before, so it was really exciting to see. First time being on a boat, because last time it was a ferry, so a lot of firsts today, so it was really nice.
When you meet someone who is such a great leader, or you see people walking up to him, you see him, you know, almost bowing down to another human being just because of the struggle that he went to help others. When you meet somebody like that, it's a situation where I have to listen. This is somebody, you know, who's been through it all and helped people through it all, you know, and then you meet them and it's like, it's a funny sense of humor, but the life lessons are really there. It's I don't know, it's hard to put in words what you say when you meet somebody of that nature, you know.
His positivity is infectious.
Desmond Tutu was such a kind person.
He was just like a warm spirit. He was very nice and humble, and his laugh was like the cutest thing ever.
You don't choose your sexuality. It's a given. You arrive with it, like your nose.
His laugh. It was just so wonderful, his laugh.
I expected him to be super stern and by the book kind of guy, but he was so encouraging, and his words at the end were so touching. I teared up a bit.
Just imagine the things that we would stop doing and the things that we would do.
I will never forget it.
He told us to never stop dreaming our dreams, to never sell ourselves short or let anybody tell us that we can't pursue what we want to.
And someone of such great importance and of such great love and positivity telling you that. I mean, I was crying of so much, maybe not joy, but it was because it was so deep. It connected, like it touched a part in my heart that I didn't even know was there before he said that.
He seemed like an angel to me.
Reach for the stars. Don't let anyone tell you that you are made for anything less. You are made to reach for the stars, to be the best that ever was.
Yeah, it just left me speechless. And when he told us to chase our dreams no matter who tries to stop you and to reach for the stars, I cried because it was so powerful.
I never thought that anything so wonderful would ever happen in my life.
As we look back over the day, we give thanks for 12 whales that we saw in the bay. We give thanks for new friends that we have made over these days. We thank you for the journey that we've been on and the journey that we are still on.
Now that the trip is coming to an end, I feel overwhelmed still.
It's been tiring, but it's been fulfilling because everybody has been so positive. We've all just worked with each other to get through obstacles.
I feel like I haven't been this peaceful in a while. This group has made me feel so at home, and it's a feeling I haven't felt in a while.
I've been able to talk about things that I can't talk about with my friends for 4 or 5 years that I've had.
The community vibe here is so strong, and like the townships we've been to, like the community feel, I like that. Like, and where I live, as neighbors, we don't really talk to each other, like, so it's nice to see the community feel.
It's an eye-opening experience, especially for someone who's trying to become a leader for the people. You get a sense and feel of people and actual community when you come here.
It's an interesting way to accept other cultures as well. Going on this trip has definitely helped my perspective become more global.
It's sometimes hard to learn, but I think if there are safe spaces created where people can interact and get to know each other at a much deeper level, those are the first steps of creating hope for the future.
Thank you to all of you for making yourselves vulnerable, for making yourselves available, for just being here.
It is such an educational experience. By far, I think this is probably the most I could have learned. It was almost like an advanced course where you took a course for 2 weeks.
I will always be better because of this, because I've gained so many resources, I've met so many amazing people, I've built so many relationships that I would not have otherwise had.
And that is by far one of the best tools I think you can have as a youth leader.
I'm really upset to be leaving, but then again, I'm glad to be going back with newfound knowledge and new friends and just a new general outlook on life.
What is life? What is really life?
Global peace,
power,
equality and balance,
justice, taking action,
people being treated right,
Everyone coming together to figure out our own conflicts and not doing it by yourself.
I have sprayed you into my eyes.
This place is amazing. No matter what anybody says, it's had an impact on me, and I feel at home here.
I'm a little sad. I still haven't really processed that I'm leaving yet. I'm trying to just, stay in the moment so it doesn't seem so bad. But I'll probably cry.
There's not many opportunities like this,
and you get to do things that you could never otherwise do.
One theme that I've been seeing, and it seems corny and cliche, but love is one thing, and compassion for everyone, not just the people that you want to have compassion for. And that can actually sometimes be hard. If you start to think about having compassion for the oppressor, the thing that you're fighting against, or having compassion and love for everyone, that's really something I think I'll remember for the rest of my life. So
it's only love that can drive out hate. And I really want to urge you, as you leave this place from tomorrow onwards, that you carry that message with you. We will not spread hate. There's enough of that.
Bye bye.